So tomorrow we got UFC Vegas 66, the last fight card of the year. And to me, I feel like it's a good one, a fun one. A lot of fun fights, good prospects sprinkled throughout. We'll see Said Nurmagomedov face off against Said Yokub Kakramov. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Brian Battle, the hometown hero putting on for the city, gave himself a short turnaround and a tough matchup against Renat. I ain't even gonna try and say his last name, to be honest. Welterweight Jake Matthews, who looked better than ever. A fun matchup between Drew Dober and Bobby Green. Definitely one of my most anticipated matchups on the card. Two old heads that somehow ain't fought each other yet, but they definitely always gonna put on a show. But as for the fights that I actually want to focus on, I'll start with Arman Saryukin versus Damir Ismagulov. Now, as a fan, I absolutely love it because I do truly believe that these are two of the most skilled fighters throughout the division. But being that they're both prospects ranked lower in the division, I kind of hate it from a matchmaking standpoint, being that whoever loses, the trajectory of their career could potentially be damaged from it. But even so, both of them are very well-rounded, great on the feet, great on the ground. Damir is more of the boxer, and his best asset to me is his left hand in general. He's got a piston-like jab, very effective check left hook. He's not really the most powerful fighter. He's more very technical and really efficient with what he does. Now, on the other hand, Arman is very explosive and powerful, especially with his kicks. And being that this fight is a 3-rounder, I do feel that it favors Arman because Arman definitely did at least begin to slow down in his last fight against Gamrot. Going back towards Damir, something that I noticed about him, he seems very defensively responsible, has really good distance management. He just barely slips out of the way of a lot of strikes, especially kicks. Saw that against Guru. But he does have a higher guard that Arman may be able to expose with his heavy body kicks. Maybe not though, being that Damir is the bigger man, loves and has a very effective jab, and will more than likely just stick Arman with it throughout the entire fight. The thing that I'm curious about and what I think will determine the outcome is the grappling exchanges. Can Damir go with Arman in the grappling department? Now, if he can, then that obviously puts Arman in a much less ideal situation. And if he cannot, then Arman's already likely path to victory becomes a lot more clear. So, to me, there's a lot of kind of what ifs and unknowns in regards to certain aspects of the fight. But based off what I at least feel like I know, I do slightly lean towards Damir. It's hard to call. They're both highly skilled. The one thing that I definitely can say, I don't agree with Arman being a 2-1 favorite. I understand that Arman's a fan favorite. I love him as well, but this is a very tough matchup for him. And then moving on to the main event, Jared Cannonier takes on Sean Strickland. This is the epitome of a volume versus power matchup. There's a really big power difference. Strickland isn't really the most powerful, and he's probably fighting the most powerful fighter in the division. And being that Strickland doesn't have a lot of power, he looks to compensate with his volume and how much he throws. Now, this is a very quick turnaround for Strickland, considering he just got slept by Alex Pereira about 5 months ago. And the fight was actually supposed to happen before. It was actually supposed to be almost exactly 2 months ago. So the turnaround is supposed to be basically instant. I feel like it's a very interesting thing to consider, especially considering we all know how much Strickland drills, how much he spars. You have to call into question, did he give himself enough time to recover? And to immediately follow it up by fighting the other hardest hitter, most powerful fighter in the division. It'll be an interesting thing to see. Now, regardless of any of that, I do feel like this is still a very dangerous matchup for Strickland, especially if the fight gets in close. Closer range, Cannonier loves hooks. He's got very powerful hooks. And if throughout the fight they get into really close quarters, more clinch territory, probably see Cannonier start breaking out those elbows that we saw him use and really put Brunson down with. Now, me personally at least, I feel like the biggest X factor in the whole fight is leg kicks. Cannonier is one of the biggest leg kickers, or kickers in general, in the division. And facing off against Sean Strickland, who both statistically and when you just watch him, he has some of the worst leg kick defense ever, like, period. And when you find somebody that really has fight-ending kicks, we could honestly see the fight not even last that long just because of that alone. So all in all, I do feel like it's a more simple matchup to understand, and I do favor Jared Cannonier. Stylistically, I honestly don't think this is the best matchup for Strickland, looking at the total landscape of the division. But all in all, like I said, this is the last card of the year, and I do feel like this is a solid fun one to end it off with. So